evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. I'd like to open the meeting for Economic Development Planning Committee. Is there anybody wishes to be heard? If there's no discussion, I'd like to go right on to the resolutions. The first resolution is an authorization for the county executive to sign an intermunicipal agreement with the Town of Amsterdam Office of Community Renewal Grant Administration, Economic Development and Planning. This has to do with the home helpers moving up into Hegman and the funding that we help them achieve. Is there any questions? Any discussion?
Sponsor, I'll do that.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Diamond, thank you. The second resolution is a resolution that we didn't act on a few months ago. It's a resolution adopting New York State Climate Smart Communities Pledge, Economic Development and Planning. This is a resolution that we put forward so we can put this in our grant applications and everything else that we're economically friendly. Anybody have any questions? We have a sponsor.
I'll sponsor.
Mr. Diamond, Mr. Quackenbush, thank you. Is there any other discussion about anything else? I moved them both to full board?
Yeah, full board.
Thank you. All right. Anything else up for discussion? Thank you. What's that? Motion to adjourn.
Yep. Second.
Thank you.
Has anybody seen Finding Dory? Broken.
Did you?
Too? I want to know how it is.
Should we?
I don't know.
Gentlemen in the audience, would you like to ask him whether he's calling?
My daughter loves
What are you doing? Can you do me a favor and not do that? Shut up.
Sorry. I didn't realize it was on.
Okay, we'll convene the Health and Human Services Committee at 6:05. Does anyone wish to be heard on any matters before the chair? If not, we're on to the resolutions. The first is a resolution to amend the budget to establish a full-time social services investigative coordinator position. This is a budget neutral recommendation.
Sponsor. Second.
The second, full board? Thank you.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Could we get a little bit of history on this position? I mean, has it been part-time? Just a little bit of information on it?
I think the whereas explains the request with respect to there were 3 part-time before.
They were contracted. We actually have 6 contracted investigators. Excuse me. And what we want to do is have a full-time person because at the recommendation, part of the recommendation from Van Deal was that we should have an actual county employee that was overseeing our government rather than have all contracted people that are not actually county employees and can't be held accountable like county employees.
Totally understand. So the 6 will go, there'll still be the 3 because I know that communication. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you.
You bet. Okay, so we've got the same sponsor in second. We're all set?
That, right?
Second, yeah.
Okay. Next is a resolution amending the operating budget, public health emergency preparedness. This is a grant funds reclassification in the amount of $3,150, and this too is budget neutral. Do I have a sponsor in a second?
Sponsor?
Second.
And full board?
Move it.
Thank you.
Move it.
Next is a resolution acceptance of public health emergency preparedness grant funds. This is accepting the grant itself, apparently. I'm not reading this. Okay, $52,000 plus, is that?
52,000, yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
Pardon?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Okay, we have a sponsor in a second. Good.
Yeah.
Full board?
Full order.
Thank you. Next, another resolution amending the operating budget. This particular grant is for children with special health care needs. And
I'll second.
the amount is $1,474. We have a sponsor in a second. Is there any further discussion? Full board?
Full board.
Thank you. Next, a resolution authorizing the county executive to sign a contract. Is that a typo? What is that word there?
It's Alliance.
Let's see.
It's a company.
Okay, this is the one about the translator. Okay, and it sets the rate, I believe, in here. Yes, it's 18 cents per minute. This is from time to time translator is needed. Do I have a motion and a second? Thank you.
I'll second.
Good. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question.
Full board.
Martin has a question.
Yes.
Sure.
Do we currently contract also for like social services and things for a translator? Like, do we get a bulk rate? Could it be 50 cents a minute? You know, like if we're,
We can look into that, but the
I don't know what
Since-
the solution is, but we have a contract with the language line that we have a translation service with.
do you know?
I don't know what the resolution that this is that you're talking about, but I know for social services, we do have a contract.
Do you know how much it is a minute or how they bill?
They bill by the minute, and it's based on what language, because they offer like a lot of different languages, and it goes by the language that they use, and I really can't get the specific
It's different amounts.
each language.
Right. And
Just
If-
curious.
actually, can I follow up on it with his questions? There's different amounts for different languages. So while this just says 18 cents per minute, if there are different languages, it doesn't, so.
this is a recommendation from the department. I think it's probably pretty reasonable. I think we
yeah.
can.
I was just curious.
I confess I didn't look into it any further when I saw it. We can discuss the next resolution perhaps at length. And we're blessed that we're not charging per minute for this discussion. Not that I don't welcome your questions. All right. So we have a sponsor. All right, let's get on to this next one because perhaps there are some questions here. And this is regarding transportation. And apparently there was only one bid.
I'll second.
Who's sponsored?
Right. Sponsor.
Okay, any discussion? None? Full board?
Full board.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes Health and Human Services. And I think I'm at that next too.
Motion?
Motion to
Yeah, motion to adjourn, thank you.
Second.
He's not talking anymore.
You know, the state has a contract with professional services too, police for Department of Revenue. I don't know if you can actually put that.
Okay, we'll convene this at 6:14.
It's actually 6:10.
Education Government Committee. In privilege of the chair, I do want to discuss, perhaps we can do this last, because we have a number of resolutions. But the land bank, I think we're at a point where we can discuss that further. Toga's here this evening again to take any questions you might have. But if you want to take, I think everybody has a copy of the resolution and the municipal agreement, and that's what we'll be discussing. Is there anyone else who should be heard? All right. First is a resolution changing committee meetings for the month of July and August 2016, county legislature. I see that there, but what are we changing them to?
To one committee meeting, rather than two.
We would do all committees on the third Tuesday, the full board on the fourth.
Okay, so the resolution should reflect that then when it comes to the board. That's what we're doing, right? Oh, there it is. Okay, I got it. So the committee meetings be held on the third Tuesday of the month, just like we did this month. Okay. So we have a sponsor and a second? Sponsor? Okay. For telling us about, thank you. Next is a resolution confirming appointments, representatives to the Fulton Montgomery Schoharie Workforce Development Board. These are made by the county executive.
I think there was some discussion.
Pardon?
I think there was some discussion on that.
There's some discussion on it?
That's all right, I'll bring it up next week.
What's that?
No, that's all right.
On the last resolution? Did I miss you?
No, that's all right. We can discuss it next week.
Okay.
I just had a couple questions.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. We can move on.
Thank you. Okay, so we're back to the resolution confirming the reappointments and term representatives to the Fulton Montgomery and Schoharie County Workforce Development Board. You see the names there. There are three. Two. A sponsor and a second?
Second.
Okay, we're all set. Full board?
Full board.
Thank you. Next, a resolution authorizing the county executive to sign revised agreement, continuation of CLEO agreement between the county of Montgomery and the counties of Fulton and Schoharie. This is also related to workforce. And the workforce, let's see. I'm not familiar with this one yet. Workforce Opportunity Act. There is no financial impact. This is an annual agreement. So I have a sponsor in a second. Thank you, Bob. Second. Thank you, Martin. Next, a resolution approving, full board. Resolution approving setting a date of public hearing on FMCC proposed budget.
Second.
Okay. And we talked about July 26th? Okay. Full board?
Full board.
Thank you. Resolution approving collective bargaining agreement between Fulton Montgomery Community College and Fulton County, Montgomery County, and FMC Buildings and Grounds Unit.
Sponsor.
You have a sponsor?
I'll second.
And a second?
Barb second.
Second, Barb, thank you. Full board? Okay. Resolution endorsing the concept of selling FMCC land to Fulton College Association to develop student housing. Dustin Swanger was here before the board and made a presentation with respect to that. We have a sponsor in Bob Patel. Anybody second? Roy? Full board? Thank you. Resolution endorsing proposed Allen House Administrative and Community Center at FMCC. This was also addressed in the distribution of a request for proposals. Have a sponsor in a second. Roy?
I'll sponsor.
Second.
Thank you. Full board?
Aye.
Okay. So that just leaves the land bank discussion.
And also the tobacco age.
Well, that,
from-
good. I'm sorry,
last month.
did I miss that? Or- No, that's,
That was on as a discussion item.
okay.
Okay.
So as a discussion item, we want to talk about the resolution to raise the age of purchasing tobacco in Montgomery County. You see a number of counties are going that direction. We took a presentation with respect to that. We'll look for a sponsor. Barb, thank you. And a second. Thank you, Joe.
Duke,
Ina, is there any discussion on this?
Duke. You all have 3 different local laws before you.
Yeah.
I guess I would ask
Which one?
which one or what you're going to be sponsoring.
Well, I did want to discuss a little bit the whole notion of, I'm in favor of the general idea, of course, and the only thing is that and we took the presentation from the group last week. There are sometimes there are people who are opposed to these types of laws. A lot of people make the argument about what is and what is not permissible at certain ages, for instance. And so I would like to just give this a little bit of time before we actually act on it. But I'm in favor of the general notion and ready to go. Barb?
Yes, I definitely agree with you. The one thing I think we've all learned since the start of this form of government is local law takes a long time. And there's a long space in the spectrum. I spoke with them after they gave their presentation. And I know there's a lot of ground to cover and a lot that would be added and discarded to finally have an end product. So I would definitely love to work on this and to work on it with you guys and see where you're at, because it would be something very near and dear to me. When you care about something, you put your heart into it. So
Megan, Finance, what are the differences in those 3?
Well, I'm just looking at them now, but there are some differences regarding scope. Some seem to target who sells the tobacco, versus some are focused on tobacco and non-tobacco products. And Albany, looks like they even include rolling papers, pipes, any paraphernalia like that. Cannot be sold to anybody under 21. So it looks like there's a couple different directions you can go, and maybe reviewing these 3 laws and having a discussion about what your ideas are would be useful.
Yes, Bob?
I feel confident I'm going to support this whole idea. The question, the discomfort that I have with it is, we look at less government all the time, and less government telling us what to do, and the question becomes, is someone 18 years old sensible enough to make their own decisions when it comes to health, or someone 21 years, 3 years older, more sensible about making a decision about smoking or not. None of us, I don't think any of us here smoke, so I think that's a good indication of how we feel. But
Personal habits notwithstanding, I intend to support this. I frankly have never smoked a cigarette, but that's a whole other matter. I support this. But now we have to take a look really as to which form we want to, and we should give this a little bit of time.
Just, while we're having the discussion, and, I think it's a good discussion to have, but I frankly couldn't be more opposed to the legislation, purely on the fact alone that I don't think it's our job or our right to be intervening and telling people what they can do, what they can or cannot do with their own bodies. You know, to Bob's point that, you know, what's the maturity level of an 18-year-old versus a 21-year-old? I know plenty of 50-year-olds that wouldn't trust making any decision. So I think that's a very hard path to go down. And by simply making something illegal to obtain or illegal to do, I don't think there's plenty of drunk drivers on the road, there's plenty of people that speed, there's plenty of underage drinkers, there's plenty of people in high school that smoke cigarettes, and I don't think it achieves the end goal of getting smoking out of our youth and then eventually getting it out of society as a whole. I'm not going to argue the fact that I think it would be a great thing to get smoking out of our society, but I don't think this is the way to do it. I think we would be much better served to dedicate some time, effort, and dollars to our public health department, to increase education, because that's the only way you're going to help in ending, you know, the smoking epidemic, is by educating people about what the real costs and dangers are of it, not by making it illegal. People 18, 19, 20-year-olds will still get cigarettes, they will still smoke. And I think it's in that sense, a worthless piece of legislation, and I think it's a large overreach for what we should be doing as a county legislation. We have much bigger issues to be dealing with. Thank you.
I think your point's well taken with respect to making decisions, and this is nevertheless a public health initiative. And also, it does not persuade me the fact that the law is not perfect and is going to necessarily cause everyone who's underage from getting tobacco products. But that same thing can be said of anything. Yes, laws about speeding don't stop people from speeding, etc. But they do help. You know, so I think there's a couple different ways to look at this, and I certainly understand that. I accept the argument about making choices a little bit differently, but would generally agree that age is almost not something that you can really make a strong case for. But I don't know what other way there is that you're trying to get to stopping youth from making these purchases. But certainly we can commit young people to a lot of other things that are far worse. Anything else?
So, would the local law be to prevent the selling of tobacco products to anyone under 21? So if someone did purchase, does that mean that the store owner or whoever sold it is in trouble, or the person purchasing? I wouldn't have a problem as much with it if there was a penalty to the person who actually is purchasing, or is it a use thing? Because I really think the goal is to make sure the kids aren't using it. The way that you might do that is to the parents, maybe, of the person under 21. I don't know if that's the way. What is the real goal here?
Frankly, I thought I didn't even realize that we had three different versions of what we're talking about. So we're going to have to refine it before we can even have some of these discussions.
I wouldn't have as much problem if I knew there was a penalty for other than the business owner. Because it's like selling of the alcohol, it's the same thing. The person gets penalized, the person gets penalized that's in business, nothing happens to the kid, nothing happens to the parent. I mean, you got to teach your kids too, that's what's going to happen in the house.
One of the things, and I think this is just for discussion right now, and when I have something, but I really need to maybe pick pieces from each of these and see what's best for us. As the animal welfare law started one way and it ended another way, even the way it ended, Roy had something that even took some ways before that. So really, and I couldn't help but agree with what Ryan was saying. I agree with so much of it. But one of the ways that when Legislator Duchessis was speaking, COPD is killing people. Lung cancer has for a long time. So if there's any legislation we can do, if we can come to a meeting of the minds some way.
Okay.
That's all I'd like to try to propose, if we can develop something for our county.
I would look for a legislator who had some strong feelings about this legislation, perhaps to come back at the next meeting and propose one of those three forms, if somebody is so inclined.
I would like to do that. If I could ask to do that in the August meeting, because I don't want to be busy, and my birthday's a week from today, so this is something that I think deserves the time and attention.
Okay,
So I can give for the August meeting of Education and Government.
I think that's fine.
Thank you so much.
All right, is there anything else?
Yeah, I guess I would just say if we're only going to do the third Tuesday in August, the local law actually has to be on your desks 10 days before you act on it.
Right.
So you're going to have to plan on the second week, at least the second week, getting it to everyone for review.
That was gonna be my question of why we weren't gonna hold them on the second Tuesday for that reason, but I didn't know if there was a reason for having them on the third opposed to the second, because it's a pretty tight
Yeah, well,
timeframe.
I'm not sure there was a reason. I think that's the way it ended up this month, but I don't think there's any reason we couldn't simply do it on the second. Is that a better idea? I don't think anyone, is that all right? So, Cheryl, let's go back and you do that one, okay? For the second Tuesday instead of the third?
For the month of August,
Yeah.
We can make an amendment.
at the full board. Yeah, do it at the full board.
For July and August.
All right. So that's fine. So now, what do I have left? The land bank?
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, there you go. You moved your chair.
Oh, I figured this was
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
All right. So essentially what we have here now with respect to the land bank is you recall when first we discussed this, we thought that there was a really hard time frame that we were up against. It turned out there was a submission date for the last round of last application. The law is written such that there will be a specific number of land banks are allowed, and there are still some openings. And so I spoke to the attorney who was running that program, and he said that we had a little bit of time. And so even though that deadline has passed, we've been proceeding, Toga's been proceeding with the other counties. We're no longer being asked to sponsor the legislation, but merely to become a part of the county, to become a part of the land bank. We provided this evening draft resolutions, a draft resolution and also a draft intermunicipal agreement. And I asked Toga already if this municipal agreement was the same one that is standard fare and that the other counties have used to enter it into. And he assured me that it was. So I think I don't know of any downside to this, to become Montgomery County becoming a part of this particular land bank. Abandoned properties are such a huge problem, and they have been, has been for a long time. And I think the state has been pretty slow with respect to its response here in meeting the needs of local communities, former industrial communities that have excess housing stock that's deteriorating, inferior housing stock that results from failure to invest. And so my own position is that we need all the arrows we can put in the quiver to shoot at this target to try to address this problem. Certainly this is just one more thing that can help us. I'm not really aware of any downside to this. So with that, I will take questions, and Toga has offered to answer any questions you might have with respect to the operation. I certainly don't expect you to read and accept the resolution or the intermunicipal agreement right now, but I would like to move this for the next meeting and perhaps take the time in between to review the agreement, and if there's any issues, we would bring them up then. And normally, I wouldn't ask you to do something like that with respect to the intermunicipal agreement, with the exception of the fact that this is the one that everybody's using. Yes?
I don't have any questions for Joe, but I do have to say that I fully support the land bank idea. I always have. I think it's a great opportunity that we should take advantage of. I think we just need to be careful moving forward, that we put as much effort into it in the future as we're doing now. Keep representation from Montgomery County and getting our fair share of any grants that become available. I really, as Mr. Duchesne says, I don't see any downside risk to this. I think it's pretty much an upside. The land banks that I've seen and been involved in the past have all benefited from them, even if it's just for demolition in areas that depress housing. I'm excited and look forward.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm in support of this, and I think we've been talking about it a while, and it was before us last year. I don't have a problem putting this on for our meeting this month. I would support that resolution, and if for some reason we didn't want to, we can always table it, but I think I am good with moving it forward this month if everyone else agrees.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm in full support of moving forward with the land bank, and just had a question that popped into my mind when it came up, and maybe it's something I'll have to look into a little more, but it may be something that Tolga has an answer to. ESD, I believe, just announced another round of Restore New York grants. From the last time they did them was late 2000s, and there was about $300 million available for asbestos abatement, large scale demolition of buildings. And I was just curious whether the land bank, if it was in existence by the deadline for this, or the county could potentially be eligible for some of those monies that could then be used for land bank purposes. So just something that possible funding opportunity that...
I can tell you that's not going to be an either-or situation. Those applications can be made by municipal governments. That was the original purpose of the Restore New York program. It kind of got distorted its first year, and they opened it up and made it a little bit different. But that too, I'm going to use the same words, was a long time coming when those Restore New York monies were originally dedicated for the problem of derelict housing and such. So I think the county probably will be looking at an application, and I know a number of other municipalities will too. So it's not either or. In the land bank, I'm sure we'll be trying to take advantage of that also.
Yeah, but what I can say is the AG, the Attorney General's office and ESD have both said they've already done some special brownfield funding, but they had said that they plan to move a larger portion to the land banks to use them as a tool to help with cleaning up these sites.
Yeah, it's only natural that a land bank would make for a very strong application, because that's what they do.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a sponsor then.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, my question was kind of off of Ryan's, does it help with this, the funding for the land banks to go through the municipalities, and does the county, as the overall, do we need authorization from the other 10 towns, villages, or the city to do any of?
I don't understand.
I think maybe I can answer your question. In Montgomery County, there's only 2 FGUs foreclosing government units, the County of Montgomery and the City of Amsterdam. So they would be, in practice, the ones that would be the land bank. The problem that you may have, or the nuance to this, is that you have, I don't know how many communities in Montgomery County? 17?
Yeah.
You know, they're the ones that are really gonna be the ones that are gonna be benefiting from this, but us as the FGU are gonna be the ones that are going to be responsible for these. So we need to be prepared to work together and create
The process, the property.
some contiguous relationships with the villages and towns in the county.
And Barb, the city is already in a land bank,
Yes,
so
okay.
so that they're using the properties that they can foreclose on.
I know we worked in Minden, in Fort Plain, the county
Right.
and the municipality, so, okay, thank you.
All right, so we're going to move forward with this,
Oh, who's second?
and,
I'll second.
okay, we have a sponsor in a second, and we're going full board? Thank you very much, and Toby, thank you.
Toby, do you have an electronic version of that?
Oh,
That you email
absolutely.
me?
Yeah, I can email.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you do it right now?
Problem.
All right. So Toby, how was my advice?
Great.
All right. Is there anything else? If not, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. We have Bob Rattel and Phil Yisbell. Thank you.